Hey everyone, welcome to the third batch of OWS Education by the Open Web Sandbox. My name is Jacopo and I'm part of the OWS team. So our team's creating these videos to smooth out the onboarding process for new members of our community. This month's edition is on NIA Basics and this episode is on NIA in the Web3 world. Let's dive in. So to understand where NIA fits into the Web3 world, we must look into the question we answered about Web3 in our previous batch about blockchain basics. These were split into three, namely, where is data computed and stored, who stores and controls the data, and who owns the data. So let's begin with the first question. Where is the data computed and stored? So users interact with the NIA blockchain through the use of the user-face of dApps. So when interacting with dApps through actions, text, images, or uploads, the smart contracts the dApps are composed of create transactions requesting for these interactions to be executed on-chain. The transactions are then communicated to nodes that make up the NIA network. Once the transactions are communicated to nodes, a set of nodes is randomly selected by the consensus algorithm to become validator nodes. Validator nodes compute and store the data found in transactions and communicate their work to all other network nodes once it is done. Let's look further into how nodes do this. So nodes can be described as having two layers, the runtime layer and the blockchain layer. The runtime layer is responsible for computing transactions data. It's a decentralized virtual machine that is oblivious about whether it is running on a blockchain at all. All it does is it runs the transactions. While on the other hand, the blockchain layer is responsible for feeding transactions to the runtime virtual machine and storing the output of the runtime layer accordingly as blocks. Second question, who stores and controls the data? Well, once transactions from the smart contracts are computed by the runtime layer, the validator nodes use the blockchain layer to store the computed transactions into blocks, updating the state of the NIA blockchain and communicating it to all other nodes so that they can all update their state. This process is autonomous and is executed following a secure and decentralized proof-of-stake consensus mechanism, which will be the focus of the next video of this batch. And thirdly, who owns the data? Data is transparently stored on blockchains, as you can see on nearexplorer.org. So because this data was computed and stored by randomly selected nodes and communicated to every node on the network, there is no node that can edit or remove what has been computed and stored on NIA blocks. The NIA protocol as an entity or the NIA Foundation as an entity do not have any more or privileged access to this data than its users. Additionally, dApps or DAOs on NIA are either fully or partially governed by their users who partake in the decision-making process of their development. So we've concluded our description of how NIA fits into the Web3 world. To look further into NIA as an instance of Web3, we can see how it handles the problems posed by the blockchain trilemma, namely scalability, decentralization, and security. So in the next three videos, we will look into how NIA aims to overcome the blockchain trilemma. See you then.